So going into the weekend, the speculation was that Checo Perez was in the hot seat by Red Bull. If he didn't perform, then he would lose his seat. Um, Checo Perez, I think, performed pretty much as poorly as he possibly could have. I don't think it's possible for Checo Perez to have had a worse result this weekend. The reason why is like, let's say he hits the barrier and like he crashes. Like, okay, I mean, yes, it's technically worse than eighth, but like, you know, it's not. You know what I mean? Like everybody crashes into a wall. It's not indicative of not being able to perform, right? And then if you think about like 11 through 20, like that just means that like he had an off day, right? But like coming in eighth, in my opinion, shows that no matter what happens, whether he starts at the front of the grid, whether he starts at the back of the grid, this dude is just the eighth best driver in Formula One. That's just like the truth of the matter. Is that like you have the top four teams. They have eight drivers. Checo Perez is just at the bottom of the pack, and like that's just his natural place. It's just his natural position. And if you're Red Bull, like you can't have that. Like you need um, Christian Horner made a big stink about this with Alexander Albon and Pierre Gasly. That like they need like when Max has an off day, they need somebody else putting up points. Now, before I go into my theories about why they're keeping Checo, I want to kind of go into a theory that like I don't think is true. Is that like people say Checo, helped Max win the championship in 21, so there's some loyalty there. First of all, Christian Horner doesn't have any loyalties, so like let's put that aside. He's not even loyal to his wife. The only person Christian Horner is loyal to is Daniel Ricciardo. But besides that, like if you actually look at the race, like I think Checo's role in that win is really overblown because like yes, Checo Perez held up Lewis Hamilton so that Max Verstappen could catch up, but Max Verstappen won the race because of the safety car, right? And so had Checo Perez never done that, and Lewis Hamilton had kept that, 3, 4, 5, even let's say as much as 10 seconds on Max, right? Like okay, that would have all been eliminated by the safety car anyway, right? So like it's not like Checo Perez didn't actually win Max that championship. It was Nicholas Latifi. That's who won the championship for Max. So let's put that aside. Anyway, um, so here's some theories about why Checo Perez is on the team. The first one, and I think this is the most plausible at this point, is that Checo Perez just straight up has blackmail on Christian Horner. Like he's just straight up, during this whole mess, there was a lot of stuff. The whole mess with Christian Horner earlier in the year with Jos Verstappen and like him texting his assistant. I think there's a lot of stuff that didn't come out, and Checo Perez knows that stuff, and he's coming to Christian Horner's like, yeah, I mean, fired me, but like I'm gonna leak this stuff to the press, and so that's why Christian Horner can't fire him because he's on thin ice. To be honest, that's the most plausible theory. Another theory that I've heard that I think is might be kind of plausible is that basically like if you finish lower on the grid, yes you get less money, but you also get more wind tunnel time. And Red Bull has all the money that they need. Like they spent over the cap. Like they don't actually need those extra millions of dollars, but like having the extra wind tunnel time would actually be very helpful for them. So they're willing to sacrifice the constructors championship in order to get that wind tunnel time to help develop their car for 2026, which is going to be a pivotal year because they have all these new regulations. So I think that could be a plausible explanation actually. Um, Another plausible explanation that I've been thinking about is that like maybe like this is like a Max Verstappen thing. So like one of the big critiques of Verstappen over the past few years, and this is a critique of every driver. Lewis Hamilton. You can make this critique of Michael Schumacher with Ferraris. Like who did it? Was it the driver or the car? Right. And so I think that there's this conspiracy theory that I think you can do, which is basically like Max told Christian, "I want Checo to bomb the season, and in return, I'll stay with Red Bull." And this way, there's this huge delta between Max and Checo then people can say definitively that's Max. It's not the car, and yes, they'll be losing out on tens of millions of dollars, but hey, keeping Max happy, keeping Max on the team, that could be worth tens of millions of dollars, right? So this way, like Max gets what he wants, he gets more validation. Checo doesn't really care being the punching bag. As he said in Drive to Survive during that episode of the 2021 championship, is like he just wants to be in a car that's capable of winning races, and he's happy for Christian Horner to put him in that car. So, I think Checo might just be a good soldier who's like, okay, it's up to me to tank this season. And by the way, like, here's one reason why I think it's actually like a plausible idea is that at the beginning of the year, Checo did very well. Like, second was his fourth, second, you know, like he actually put up some pretty good numbers that in the beginning of the season, and then he had this dramatic fall off from 18-21-18 to 4.00.47.067, right? Now you could say that that's the car falling off, which is possible, but maybe it's just Checo, saying, okay, I'm going to put this car on the wall a couple times to make Max Verstappen look like more of a world champion. So those are kind of my three big conspiracy theories. Either blackmail, it's a three-dimensional chess game with the wind tunnel, or it's some sort of like three-dimensional chess game in order to help Max's legacy by having Checo, stink it up. Because the idea that they were going to like replace him with Daniel Ricciardo, like that always kind of smelled kind of fishy to me. Like, because it's like if you were replacing with anybody, why not Yuki Tsunoda? Yuki Tsunoda has almost double the points as Daniel Ricciardo this season. Like, why would Daniel Ricciardo be the guy? So the fact that they were floating out Ricciardo instead of like they're floating out Ricciardo and Liam Lawson, the two of the three least likely drivers on Red Bull 2 or V-Carb, whatever it's called, to get it, right? Like, Daniel Ricciardo is barely beating Ollie Bierman, right? So, that kind of makes it seem to me that this was never a real idea, even though, like, I did buy into it. Like, I'm not going to lie, I did, just because I wanted Checo to be gone so badly. So, the way that it looks for the rest of the season, I think Max has got it in the bag. His real challengers, Max's, are Oscar Piastri and Lewis Hamilton. Like, I do not think that Lando Norris is a legitimate contender anymore. And so, Red Bull's going to win the drivers. McLaren's going to win the constructors. Red Bull might come in third in the constructors, to be honest. That's the season. So, on to next year, guys.